To Chapter 9. This chapter is all about raising our children in such a diverse society. And for this chapter, I'm going to go through all the slides. I think that's easiest because I'm going to be speaking over several of them. The ones I don't speak over, though, I'll just pause and you can read them for yourself. If you need to, just stop so you have all the time you need to read them. The outline is Parenting in the 21st Century America, Gender and Parenting, What Do Children Need, Experts' Advice on Authoritative Parenting, Social Class and Parenting, Parenting and Diversity. They're going to look at sexual identity, racial, ethnicity, and religion, Grandparents as Parents, Parenting Young Adult Children, and Toward Better Parenting. So on this slide, it's the third of this topic, parenting challenges and resilience. And resilient is such a key word. I see that in so many of my students. They have beat the odds against them. I say they are definitely survivors after what they have been through at a very young age, what they have already overcome. You're going to be given a couple options for this week's threaded discussion, and this is one of them. The different transitions that young adults go through as they transition into parenthood. I have referred in an earlier slide as kids being a four-letter word. They can be the most wonderful things that happen to us, but they do provide challenges. All of a sudden, you're in charge of another human being. You're on the job for 24 hours and you don't get much pre-training. It's a lot of on-the-job training. So you have interruptions in your sleep, work, your leisure time is not your time anymore. You have less time together as a couple. You may not have the adequate supports depending on your family and community situation. And there are declines in your emotional, sexual relationship with your partner. Employed mothers. It becomes a huge transition for them as they learn to juggle not only their job and being a wife, but also now being a parent. So the husband will find their role as more important as they learn to help out more in the house. And if the relationship was high quality prior to parenthood, the transition will be easier. Selecting childcare is a huge consideration. I feel your textbook does a very nice job on this topic. "44% of births occur to unmarried women." We definitely have a lot of single mothers. Single mothers are aware that to be married is the cultural ideal, but their situation is that they are not married and they are raising their children on their own. A term that you will see on the MindTap quiz, a private safety net, and that is associated with the children's better adjustment. This is the social support that mothers, particularly single mothers, get from their family and friends in order to provide them with better life circumstances. We have often heard it takes a village to raise a child. So extended family, other friends are so important in a child's life. Those who have a great private safety net are more likely to give their young adult children a down payment for their first home. Hint, hint. In your question of the week, you're going to be asked to share what parenting style your parents used as raising you. So let's cover those briefly. The authoritarian, I like to think of those as the my way or the highway, the drill sergeant type parent, where the child does not have a say. These parents show low emotional warmth. They're very high on parental direction and control, and they're also the ones that are most likely to spank or harshly punish their children. Permissive parenting, they're low on parental direction and control, but high on emotional nurturing. These children may seem more spoiled than others. However, they can have emotional neglect, as the parent does not give them much direction or support. They're just left to do things on their own. A majority of respondent mothers feel they are overprotective and give in too quickly. I don't know if they feel this is easier, if they don't have the energy, or if it's just what they want to do since they're a single parent and the father is not around. And this does tend to support the permissive parenting style, which is characterized by high responsiveness but low demands on the children. The authoritative parenting style, this is the one that we should strive to use with our children. They're the positive, think authoritative, positive parenting. Those parents are warm, firm, fair. They do set great boundaries. They do give their children discipline, but it's often a two-way street. They will let the child know why they're being disciplined and often ask for feedback. So it combines emotional nurturing and support with the conscientious parental direction. And these children have been shown to do better in school and are more socially competent. So here it just summarizes the 4 different parenting styles. This will be an important slide for you, but I don't think I will read it to you. I will let you read it. Spanking can be a controversy. Basically, when we spank, that means hitting a child with their open hand or an object. I know people who say if they spank with a spoon, then the child will not connect that with the parents. They connect the discipline with the object. 1/3 of fathers and 44% of mothers have spanked their children. How do you feel about spanking? Were you spanked? Many people would say that child just needs a good spanking. So in instances, there may be a place for spanking. However, there's such a fine line between a spank as a way of disciplining a child and that of physical abuse. Recent research shows that corporal punishment has generally negative effects. As you saw on the other slide, mothers spank more often than fathers. I think mothers often are in caregiving roles with the children, and they also might be likely to come to their wits' end faster than fathers. Some experts advised against ever spanking. Others believe these experts overstate the case. The American Academy of Pediatrics advises that children less than 2 years old and adolescents should not be spanked. Another term you're going to see is concerted cultivation of their child's talents and development. This is typical of more highly educated parents. And here's the slide that defines that. Basically, they praise their children, they play with them, read to them, create and enforce rules about watching TV, engage their children in extracurricular activities, take them on outings, enroll them in private or charter schools, and say there are people in their neighborhood they can count on. So again, the village. So concerted, meaning you make an effort to cultivate your children. Hyperparenting, intensive parenting, they sometimes call it the hurried child. You may know it as the helicopter parent, the parent that hovers above and meddles excessively in the child's life. They may drop out or abandon their goal-directed academics or curricular activity because the parent has been hovering over them to the point where they want to get away from it. They also the parents spend unnecessarily large amounts of money on their children, and they give their children too much. They may encourage them in too many scheduled activities. So a little is good, but too much can be a negative thing. These next slides talk about the different races. So this one is on African American parents. And I felt the second bullet was worth spending just a minute of our time on. The intersection of gender and race with socially economic status means that this father, this young black male, would be expected to be an effective breadwinner, but also risks race discrimination as he navigates a job search in a minimum wage economy. So what we find is that those young African American males who have been to college, have gotten some education, will have a better chance at getting a higher paying job and having better competition in the job market. Race socialization occurs as parents develop pride in their cultural heritage while warning children against that potential discrimination. Native American parents, we see that they often have excessive permissiveness parenting styles, and they demonstrate resilience. So those Native American children, even though they're raised in that permissive home, they are very resilient and can overcome their odds. Hispanic parents, they have what we call hierarchical parenting. Often the male is the dominant in the family. This type of parenting combines warm emotional support for the children from the mother with a demand for significant respect for parents. So you see a lot of these parents, especially the fathers, being authoritarian. Older extended family members or other authority figures may more aptly apply to the Hispanic parents. Asian American parents are often characterized as being authoritarian. Their children will be told what they need to do. Confucian-trained doctrine, which blends parental love, concern, involvement, and physical closeness with that strict and firm control. The conflict may arise when those children want to assimilate into the American culture and no longer want to adhere to their traditional behavioral guidelines. And then parents of multiracial children. Nearly 9 million Americans are of mixed race. So that's not a small number. Tension over cultural values and attitudes as you look at both sides of the races. Multiracial ethnic families that foster an explicit identity as multicultural, multiracial, or multi-ethnicity have happier, better adjusted children. And then parents of transnational families. I have many students every semester who fit this. Their families have immigrated here. In the first half of 2011, according to the Department of Homeland Security, the United States deported approximately 46,500 parents with at least one child who is an American citizen. This term is multi-generational punishment. That means a parent was ripped away from them without warning, and then there's what we call a distinct form of legal violence. Those unauthorized immigrant parents have children who were born in this country and are therefore legal citizens. So it just makes for very complicated family situations. I like this slide, grandparents as parents. I love being a grandparent, but many grandparents are also parents raising their grandchildren. They often get this by default and are doing wonderful jobs. About 11% of U.S. grandparents are raising their grandchildren. Many of you may have grown up in foster homes or want to foster other children, be a foster parent. So here's some goals toward better parenting. We want to be an optimal parent, and many of you have learned from your parents and learned what traits you want to adhere to and then those that you do not. You want to support your family through good communication. You want to be involved in your child's life and school. Provide those safety nets with your community, family, friends. Make adequate economic resources so you can provide for your family. Have great workplace policies that facilitate a healthy work-family balance. Have safe and healthy neighborhoods. And have society-wide policies that hold up parents.